Welcome to the Soul Wisdom Project, the living blueprint of the soul. With me, Shakti Bottazzi, your host. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by your daily life as if something inside you is trying to get your attention? As an international teacher, shaman, and energy healer, I will bring the tools of a lifetime to guide you to explore how to live consciously, awaken your innate wisdom, integrating the design, development, and emergence of your divine blueprint. Each episode blends grounded conversation with multidimensional insight, guiding you to release old patterns, align with your higher intelligence, and live awake, aware, and fully present. The Soul Wisdom Project with me, Shakti Bottazzi, starts now. Well, hello there. It is a pleasure to be back with you. And today's episode is Before Birth and After Death, What the Soul Already Knows. The soul already knows so much, and I knew this before I arrived to Earth. Since a very young age, I've had many experiences with this, and I know deeply within myself that when it's time to leave, then at both thresholds, coming in and going out, there is love, and that is all that matters. And this has been brought to my attention very recently as I've witnessed my mom pass less than a month ago. I traveled to Argentina urgently. I was able to see her before she passed and before she lost consciousness. And as I came back and I was sitting with all the things I wanted to share with you, I realized that there was a lot that I wanted to share with you that comes from direct experience, deep inner knowing, deep transformation from the experiences that I've lived, not just my mom's transition, but also helping babies transitioning into their bodies. And so I'm hoping that at the end of today's episode, you will take with you new awarenesses, new understandings, and also a different outlook of why you're here, what you're here for, and in what ways to make every day count more. For this, I have a gift for you, which is the Soul Embodiment Map. I've offered this for you before. It's the perfect guidance for you to even further deepen the understanding of an episode like the one we're going to have today, like the one we're starting now. You can find it in the description to this podcast, to this video, and you can also find it on my website, theawakenpath.com/soul-embodiment-map. And you can download it from there and enjoy the reading. Take your time, highlight things, make sure that you make it count and you make it help you in supporting as you are evolving and as your own soul is unfolding in its own path into living a soul wisdom life, a soul purposeful life. So, like I was saying, I recently witnessed my mom transition in Argentina, and she has lived a wonderful life, very much on her terms. She was less than a month short of turning 101. So, leaving is not a tragedy when you're at that age, but it's always hard for us on this side, missing that person and how that experience of that relationship was a part of your life. I've lived far from her in different continents for half of my life, and every single day I would call her on the phone. And that habit of grabbing the phone early in the morning when I would wake up to call her, and if I didn't hear from her in the morning, then I would reach out again in the afternoon, is so Pavlovian in our humanness that I still, after almost a month, it'll be a month in a few days, I still grab the phone every morning saying, oh, I'm going to call mom. And then I'm like, no, I can't call mom anymore. So interesting, our humanness, right? And the limitations of the body and of this world. And What's fascinating me and what I want to share with you in this episode is really a message of hope. It's not a message of downpour because I witnessed my mom passing. On the contrary, the witnessing of my mom's passing simply cracked me open even further to help me understand what I have been experiencing in this lifetime so many times clearly. It was part of the wisdom I was meant to carry and to convey and to share and to offer because ever since I was 13 years old, when I first encountered the finality of the ending that means leaving the body on this plane and moving on as a soul to another plane, when I lost a friend that had been playing with me on Saturday, and his bike had a puncture, and so he left the bike with me. And then that Monday, he passed in an accident, and it was so final for me and so difficult for me to grasp the enormity of that ending that was so final, right? And then as life happened, I can safely say that I've experienced several more deaths. When I was 17, another friend. When I was 19, my sister. When I was 21, my dad. All of these passings were what society would define traumatic. They were before the time. My mom, more than 100, totally on time. It's not a tragedy. It's the evidence of the cycle of life. And still, I'm very tender and very vulnerable lately, and I'm still moving very softly into my tasks. And I've given myself almost the full time until today to not be very involved in my work and to really give my soul and my body time to reset, to center, to love myself, to take time, a lot of time alone. I've been needing a lot of time alone because after her passing, I stayed in Buenos Aires for almost 10 more days, working like crazy with my siblings to set the practical things up. So when I came back, I really, really needed that nurturing and that silent time. So this brings me to the next topic, right? We understand very clearly we're not our bodies. I know that we know this. If you're here listening to the Soul Wisdom Project, you know we're not our bodies. And you may not be in agreement with the fact that you've existed here before. But for sure, you understand that we are something bigger than what we see in the body. The body is a temple, is like my mom used to say, a cosmic suit. She really, I love that term. She said it to me in Spanish when I was probably 6. She said, this is like the cosmic suit that the astronauts use to, go into space. And it stuck with me because oh my gosh, this was so, so clear through this recent experience I had. So, so clear. So our souls choose when to come in, when to go out, who's going to be our family, both our family by blood, so our lineage, and our family as in our soul family, who's going to be our soul tribe, the one that's going to be supporting us through this journey. What are the agreements that we're going to either make or dismantle from past lifetimes? What are the lessons we're here to learn? What are the gifts that we bring because we've lived before? And so we bring these gifts as tools to support us. There's so much in the journey of the soul. And it's so important to begin understanding and expanding our understanding of what are soul agreements, what are they, how they work, why they matter. Because there's magic in expanding the understanding of what did you decide before you arrived. And in prior episodes, I touched upon this. We have a team when we decide to come into Earth. We have a team, and with that soul team that is made up of prior lineages, of maybe even off planet aspects of ourselves, of angels, archangels, enlightened beings from other galactic systems. It's wild and broad, and we make a plan. We make a plan about who we're going to meet, what we're going to learn with those people we're going to meet, how we're going to serve, and all the things that, if you're listening, you are grappling with, especially at this time. Today, the day we're airing with this episode is 7/7 of July of the year 2026. And 7/7, it's a portal. It's always a portal. In the year 2023, it was a 7/7/7 portal, and every 9 years this repeats. But even the 7/7, it's a big portal. Seven is the number that expresses divine love. Seven is an activation for us to remember if we live our lives from a space of fear or if we live our lives from a space of love. And what does this mean? You may ask, why am I making the point? Because it's easy to say, well, clearly I'm living life out of a place of love. That's where I thrive to be, and I love my loved ones, and I do good whenever I can. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this. I'm going to give you an example. When you make a decision as simple as, um, I'm going to eat a beautiful, healthy salad, simple decision. Are you making that decision with one of these two thoughts in your mind? One thought is, oh, I'm going to eat a salad because if not, I'm going to gain weight and I'm going to be sick and I'm going to be whatever. And so there's a fear underlining that choice. And it's making the choice a hard one, right? You're choosing because you fear that if you don't do that, then something bad is going to happen, like you're going to gain weight. Or are you making the choice out of, oh my God, it's a beautiful day and the sun is out and I want to go move my body and I can't think of anything better than to nurture my body than a beautiful, colorful salad that is fresh and that it'll have me revitalized so I can go walking in the afternoon. So that's a choice made out of love. Yes, I've enriched it. I'm sure you don't think all those things when you're serving yourself a salad, but there is an underlying of the fear base or the love base. For sure, on that particular example, it probably took me 95% of my life so far to figure that out, that I was making always choices out of that fear because of all my trauma with regards to my body and all of that, versus the last years where I'm finally able to choose out of joy, out of the connection with my body, out of love for my body, out of love for my life. But there's a difference. I ate the same thing, but from a different space. And it's made the rejoicing of sitting down to eat a plate of whatever completely different. So 7/7, okay, this is today, is a reminder of this, of are we living our lives based on a fear base or love? How are we choosing? And it is the perfect day to have this portal supporting this conversation because, like we were saying, you're not your body. So let me share with you a beautiful experience that I had about a year ago. So this experience was that I was holding, no, sorry, wrong timing, about 2 years ago. So I was holding new moon ceremonies at home, every new moon, every month. And there was this beautiful mama that would come to the circles. And she was holding in her heart the fact that she wanted to get pregnant, but she wasn't saying. She wasn't saying. She was like holding it inside and she didn't know if she should or if she shouldn't. She had that thought process going on. As the circle ends and everything, everybody's leaving and I'm saying goodbye to everybody, as she's on the door, I get this direct message from this soul. I later understood what the soul was saying, I want to be birthed through her. And I'm a little bit shell shocked. And I'm a medium. And by the way, next time on July 21st, show up live because I'm going to take live calls. Okay. So make sure you book that on your calendar. So I'm being guided to share this with her. And I tell her, I'm like, can I share something with you? And so I say, there's a soul that wants to come through you. And she starts crying so tenderly. And she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. I want to be a mama and I didn't know if it was okay, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, clearly it is. So 1 month later, she got pregnant. And I see her and I immediately know she's pregnant. Nobody knows. It's been probably 6 weeks, right? So people are not telling until the first trimester. And I know. So we see each other. She sees me. I look at her and make this like weird face. And she's like, yes, yes. And I'm like, wow. I was shell shocked myself from, the clarity of all of that. Well, what happened next was a first for me. And it was that this soul that was coming through this gestation kept connecting with me. Ooh, I get chills even sharing this. I knew exactly that's going to be a little girl. And when I asked the mom, do you want to know if it's a girl or a boy? The mom said no. So I, had to bite my tongue there. But I knew this soul was coming. And when the time was coming for this soul to be birthed, the birthing was delayed almost 2 weeks from the time, the due date. And the mother was a little bit in angst. And the soul kept telling me, tell her it's okay, tell her it's okay. Until a week prior, I hear the message, I will be birthed before Friday. And you have to understand that me in my humanness, I I'm afraid of making statements that are so crystal clear in prediction statements. Also because I know when I do multidimensional readings that nothing is predetermined. And so if today I give you a reading, what we see of potential in the field may change based on your own choices. Your own choices will change the field, and the choices of those around you may change the field too. We are looking, when we do a reading, at the most beneficial potential outcome, or we're looking into what may happen if you choose something different. Okay. Now, in this case, I could feel I was being trained as well because we're all in training, and I was being clearly trained by my old divine team who was telling me, do tell, do tell. So I message her and like, the soul is good. This baby's going to be born before Friday. Well, then I don't hear anything else. And on that Thursday before that Friday, I begin receiving messages and I know the soul is going to be birthed that day. But I don't say anything. Nothing comes from this mama. And literally at a very specific time that night, with hour and minutes, I hear, I'm here. And I sent the mama a little message with love and a flower and whatnot and go to sleep. I wake up the next day and there's a message saying, OMG, the baby was born at the exact time you sent me that message. And then what happened was that the first 7 days after this soul was born, especially the first 4 days, this soul would connect with me during the night, asking me to help fully ground into the baby body. This was very disconcerting for me. It was the first time I was having experiences with souls coming in. And yes, of course, I was in service. And yes, of course, I worked in supporting this. The baby told me what the name should be. They ended up naming her like the name that I heard, but not because I heard it. The parents were already receiving the same name for the baby. And for me, it was such an iconic moment of understanding that the souls have a moment through which they come from the other plane into the body. And I already knew that souls have a moment where they go into the other plane from the body. And that moment of transition, either coming in or going out, all there is profound love and peace. Whew. And that was so present as I was supporting my mom in leaving her body. I am so blessed and so humbled by having been able to be by her side throughout the 2 days that her soul did the work of leaving the body behind. And the sensations were so profoundly clear. And my understanding of, oh, I know now. I see the soul coming in, I see the soul coming out. It's 360 and it's the same. The soul, when it's the soul, is this pure, non-persona expression of our divine selves. Whew. Can you feel that? Whew. That was probably the most potent affirmation of a lesson that I understood at the level of my mind and that I'm conveying to you from a space of embodiment, that word again, and that I'm hoping that you can take this lesson that I learned so that it can support you too. Because with it, there's this understanding that the personality is this whole other series of clothes we put on top of that cosmic suit. The personality has nothing to do with the soul. Personality, when the baby comes in, there is no personality, it's pure, innocent, expanded love. That's why when we hold a baby, it's the most amazing feeling, right? Whenever we're able to hold a baby, we just expand because the baby carries that frequency. There's no effort there, right? The baby's born, there's no conditioning. I mean, that's not 100% true. The baby, once it's been in the mama's belly, is already receiving the information and the imprinting, both from the lineage and from the experiences the mama is having through the pregnancy. But for the most part, it's still very much the pure, raw force of the divine and the expression of this beautiful soul that is expressing in this baby's body. But then when the soul is going out, and if the soul has the blissful experience that my mom had, that she had time to be aware of what was happening. And there was a moment, very, very clear moment, where all her personality was gone. She was still conscious, but it was already pure soul. And from then until the time she passed, it was 28 hours, a day and a little bit. So clear. And I feel that I received such a huge gift from witnessing both these aspects. And when I said I was befuddled when I was so connected with this baby coming forth, my guidance told me that many of us are being called to support these souls coming to earth at this time in their process of embodiment. Many souls are coming with very specific tasks and less um, of the agreement of forgetting past lifetimes. They come with more memories so that they can be ready faster. And I'm sure you've seen online so many 1, 2, 3 years old that are already wonderful drummers and singers and mathematicians and painters and things that is impossible for a 2 or 3 year old to know unless there's a clear remembrance from past lifetimes of a skill that was gained. And that for these souls, there was no need for this skill to be forgotten. Because for us, and when I mean us, I mean literally everybody born on Earth, for sure prior to 2012, but also prior to 2020, there was still this soul need of, yes, I'm going to be incarnated. Yes, I'm going to come through to Earth to do all of these things. And in the process of coming through, I'm going to forget everything I know. And remembering will be the growth of the soul on Earth, right? That remembrance. That's why I always use that word as opposed to using the word knowing. Yes, you know, but it's like you're remembering, and then you know with capital K, and you know what you know, and you don't even know what you know it, but you know it, and there's no one that can tell you that you don't know it. Well, that's the remembrance. And now the babies, the souls that are coming through, they don't need to forget. And in, I don't know, 50, 100 years maybe, we will not need the Akashic field anymore because the souls won't need that lower, denser recording of information to access it for growth purposes. They will have the capacity to go straight to source and have their own exchanges. So, with all these thoughts, I want us to go take a break and drink something because I know I'm having a super intense conversation. That's amazing. But you may want to like put your feet, bare feet on the ground and go deep breaths and drink a little bit of water and come back in a minute and let's keep having this conversation because what I will share with you after the break is what does all of this that I'm sharing mean for you? How grasping this and accepting and receiving this understanding and this activation, because as you know, when I talk, you are being activated through love and light. How can this support your own journey this time on earth? And how can you be best served by this understanding? So we'll be back in a moment. Go take a breath, drink water, bring a drink with you, put your feet on the ground. I'll see you in a moment. Hi, I'm Shakti Bottazzi. In August 2027, I'm inviting you to join me in Luxor, Egypt, where a total solar eclipse will cast 6 minutes of sacred darkness over one of the most powerful lands on Earth. I'll be there guiding an initiation journey at the exact convergence of the solar eclipse and a few days later, the Lion's Gate portal on 8/8, a moment of profound alignment, activation, and transformation, the start of a new era for humanity. If you feel the pull, if you know you're here for something more, this is your invitation to step beyond the ordinary and into a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We'll walk through ancient temples, gather in sacred ceremony, and cross a cosmic threshold together, something that won't happen again in your lifetime. For over 40 years, I've been preparing for this moment. I've guided transformational journeys around the world, including a deeply sacred pilgrimage to Egypt in the year 2023. I know this land, I know its power, and I know why you are being called there now. Registration closes June 30th, 2026, and early bird pricing ends May 30th, 2026. You can go to my website, theawakenedpath.com, and right there on the homepage, go to the Golden Threshold and sign up for this moment. Your soul already knows. And welcome back. I hope you had a moment to reset, refresh, and to come back with new awarenesses and understandings about this profound moment that a soul experiences both at the time of coming into a body and the time in which it's going out of a body. And the profundity of holding a conscious intention for the soul that is transitioning in, like I shared with you, transitioning out, like I also shared with you. And I was so blessed to have both experiences within a year and a half, to be so clear about this that I have understood since I was a little girl. Already, my mom used to remind me of conversations we had when I was 6 and 8. So clearly, I couldn't have had at the time a lot of conditioning about this. Where I do remember the ones when I was 8, she was 48 at the time, and she would tell me that she was scared of dying. And I remember telling her that there was nothing to be scared about. I remember having those conversations. So clearly, this is something that I'm bringing from past lifetimes, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing and having this conversation with you. But it's still awe-inspiring to me when I confirm these things and when I revisit these concepts. How powerful it is, the understanding that as a soul used to come to earth, it was receiving this blank slate, and you're meeting this baby, which is an ancient being with so much wisdom that hasn't yet been conditioned by family, by society. And how, as the soul leaves, there's a moment where all that conditioning drops, and the soul in its purity is doing the passing through to the other side. So I said to you, well, what can you do with all of this, and how can this impact your life for good? I'm going to tell you a few of the musings I'm having. This morning in particular, I was lucky to have a lot of time. I did like a 90-minute meditation, which really, really helped me. I normally meditate in the mornings, but I don't always have an hour and a half to do it, more like half an hour, an hour. And when I came back from the meditation, I was sitting with my eyes slightly open, and I was looking around my room, and I was looking at the objects. And the thought that is a recurring thought since my mom's passing is this thought about how the objects, these static things that we have manifested in our lives, something as simple as this mate, which, by the way, if you like it, I bought it in Argentina on this occasion. I always get one when I go, are just these inanimate, completely inanimate objects. They can be there, they cannot be there. They do not modify us at all. And yet, what is it? 90, what, 5, 7%, 97% of humanity does all the time? Runs after money, possessions, the big things. And it was never brought to my attention with more strength than with the passing of my mom. This thing we already know. We take nothing with us to the grave, right? We take the soul's journey, period. All the experiences learned on earth, all the connections we made, all the love we gave, all the love we received. That's it. Nothing passes through the veil that is of material form. And I don't know why lately this is being brought so strongly to my attention. Something I already know, but it's almost like a strong reminder, and I'm wanting to share it with you because it's a reminder of, let's revisit our values. Let's put the list of values. And so you say, okay, my values are, give yourself a few moments, write down 5 values. I will speak them afterwards. Just write them or think them or type them on your phone, or just say them out loud. 5 values. I'm going to say five now that you've had a few minutes. Love, friendship, wisdom, well-being, and joy. Now, I'm going to ask you, think of your five values and tell me if when you're spending your time every day in your life, you are allotting the corresponding time to the level of the value. If you're allotting 95% of your time to work and none of those five values was work, you're probably very unhappy right now because you are living your life not in alignment with your values. So I'm giving you an exercise for you to do after the call at any time, and many times this is something we can do over and over, is to write a list of 10 values, not five. Here it was quick because we were in the show, but write 10 values in your journal. And then take a moment, breathe in, and write the the amount of time you're spending in your life for each value. For example, one of my values, I didn't mention it now, but in those 10s for sure, a family. And this is an exercise I did several years ago when my babies were small. I mean, I did many times, but this particular time. And I was the sole breadwinner. And family was like my number one or second value. And I wasn't spending any time with my babies because I was the sole breadwinner. I was traveling all the time and I was never home. And when I was home, I was so exhausted that I didn't have the time to give that quality to my babies. And that was such a shocker and such a moment of awareness where I said, okay, something's going to change. And if I can't change the fact that I'm the sole breadwinner, at least I'm going to change the fact that when I'm home, I need to make it so I can dedicate all my time to be with my family and my babies. And so, for example, I hired help. I hired a living nanny, which at the time I could afford, thankfully, so that I could have more time to be with the kids when I was home. And I didn't have to spend the little time I was home in cleaning and cooking and doing things that would take time away from me from being with them. Same thing is true with all the values. And this is something that through this month of mourning, I've been thinking and rethinking. Well, what are my values? And values change all the time because right now my sons, one is married, the other one is adult and living in another continent, not even in another country. I am a spiritual guide and I've been doing this for 10 years, and that's why my values are wisdom and love and whatever, it's the transmission of what I'm doing because it's aligned with this moment, with my soul's purpose at this time. And the gift is for you to go, okay, what is it in this moment of my life? In your 20s, it's going to be radically different than if you are in your 30s, than if you're in your 40s, than you're in your 50s, that you're in your 60s, than you're in your 70s. Because generically speaking, each decade has such a different mm, aspect of what our life experience is about. And so write your values and take a moment to assess if you are living according to your values. If you are, fantastic. Keep doing that and keep refining that and keep amping the volume in doing exactly that. If you aren't, well, then, what can you modify? And don't get desperate. Remember that a 1 degree transformation can take you a long way into modifying something. I love the visual of a cruise ship that has a route and they change 1 degree the route, and in the first miles, you won't notice the difference, but after a day of sailing, you will be very, very differently than you would have been if you wouldn't have modified at 1 degree. Well, that's the same thing for our lives. If you find that your list is radically different, the value list from the time you're spending in what you're doing, start with one change And once you master that change, add another degree and add another one. And maybe every month you can do a change or every 3 months. And at the end of 1 year, you will have made enormous changes. And I can guarantee you that you will be feeling a lot better, a lot more centered, aligned, expansive, joyful. Because when we are not aware that we are running after something that is not truly what our soul is desiring, but we're doing it because it's the outside conditioning that has muddled our own ability to see clearly. At the end of the day, we are exhausted, we are unfulfilled, we are sad, we get depressed, we get anxious. Why so many people are depressed and why so many people are anxious? Two reasons: anxious, depressed, but they're the same. Depressed is because you're looking at the past and you're thinking that you wish things would have been different, and you find yourself in the present moment and you are not happy about whatever the past happened and how you got to where you are. If you're anxious, is because you're here in the present moment, you're looking at the future and having a million scenarios about what the future might be, which have nothing to do with reality because it hasn't happened. But you're getting anxious about, will I be able to go there or do that? Or what if that happens? So depressed and anxious, at the end of the day, they're the same thing. You're not being able to be in the present moment. One, you're looking at the past. One, you're looking at the future. They're both the radical awareness that you're not in the present moment, in the now moment. There is no depression, there is no anxiety. In the now, in the now. And in the now, you can assess where you are in your life, what choices you're making, and what are you going after, what are you working for. And when I say working, I not necessarily mean working at work, being paid a stipend. I'm saying working for, as in spending the hours of your day, your projects, the things you're taking action about in your life. And working could also be in developing relationships. I'm not saying work as work per se, right? I'm saying the time you're occupying your life with, the things and the time you're occupying your life with. So, as I was saying, one of the gifts of this very present awareness with the experience of the passing of my mom and of the soul of this baby coming through this very clear cycle of life, which we know, we've heard about it, but I'm hoping that you're grasping with more clarity what that does that mean at a gut level. Then there comes this extreme clarity about, is it worth it? Does it make sense? Does it make sense for you, for me, to spend time doing ABC? Is it in alignment with my values? Is that where I should be putting my time and effort? And if the answer is no, it's not worth it, it's because it's not aligned with your values. And you know what? Is fine, because that's what life is all about. It's about learning, it's about course correcting, it's about experiencing and understanding through experience. How could you know if you didn't try it? Well, now you've tried it and you realize that that's not where you want to head. Okay, how can you change this? What can you do about it? But give it a good look. Give it a hard look. Give it time. Do not let time drag on without taking a hard look at this and course correcting. Why? Why now? Because you've heard me episode after episode after episode about these big, big moments that are coming up. We as humanity are moving into an enormous quantum leap. 2027, the eclipse of August 2nd of the year 2027 is going to be a pivotal moment for humankind. We are being taken into a leap into our ascension journey. And for that, we need to get ready little by little by little. So take this moment to do just that, to fine tune your path and fine tune this awareness of where you're heading, what is your soul asking from you. What did your soul come here to do? So, are you clear about that? Do you have doubts about why you're here? What did your soul come here to do? If you have doubts about that, be sure to be live in my next show, Tuesday, July 21st, where you can call in live and ask me questions to get clarity on that, or book a multidimensional session with me through my website, theawakenedpath.com. Multidimensional session, book one, and we can look into all of that. Or do your own inner connection and ask your questions, journal about it. Why am I here? And ask yourself, what did I agree to do in this lifetime? And what of those agreements are complete and what of those agreements are still very much in the making? And I'm sure the answers will radically change if you are young prior to 40 or if you're post 40. 40 years old is when you have a potent moment in your astrological map, and that's when Uranus, the planet of radical change and transformation, comes and is exactly opposite to where it was at the moment of birth, because it takes about 80 to 83 years for Uranus to go around. So if you're lucky to reach that age, 80, 82, 83, you will have your Uranus return. But around 40 or 39 or 41, depending, you have to look at your chart, you will have Uranus being opposite where it was when you were born. And that is a moment that shakes you for a lifetime. And whatever you were doing most likely begins to feel really tight, and you begin really trying to understand, what was it that you're here for? What did you come here for? And you begin looking at that direction and asking those questions. And if you are in your 30s, if you are in your 50s, there's still part of this journey going. And in today's day and age, what I can tell is that young people, you guys, you gals are all going through this awareness of why you're here at a much, much faster pace than people from my generation. I was born in the 60s. We, for sure, those of us who are soul workers and came down in the 60s, I know my task was to prepare the field to move through a very dense frequency of Earth and prepare the field for this moment. And I'm so happy to be here now where I can see this frequency of Earth being a lot lighter, but also a lot more intense. If you are here on Earth at this time, you're probably feeling exhausted and you're probably feeling the intensity of these moments. And use today, 7/7, and use the days before and after this, if you're listening this close to the live date, um, to be intentional about the inner quest and the inner understanding of, am I living life through choices of fear, or am I living my life through choices of love, like I explained earlier? And then the next questions would be, well, what are my values? Make a list of those 10 values, and then take your time and be very honest, writing down, where do I spend my time and my effort the most, and do also a ranking list of that. And then the most important part, match both those lists and look at where things can be better. If you are doing amazing, then congratulate yourself and make sure you stay on course, because it's very easy to veer off course, and simply course correct. Keep an eye on it. And if you're not, no worries. How amazing that you're listening to this episode and that you are able to take stock of where is your life and where you want it to be and what your soul is here for. And are you or are you not living what your soul is here for? And if it's not, so much to do that I'm giving you clarity about in this episode. And if you are, keep at it. And thank you, by the way. And then ask yourself also, the agreements that your soul made upon coming to this lifetime? Are they active in your life? Are there agreements that you need to cut cords with and release? Are there agreements that you made that you haven't lived up to yet? These agreements could be both about tasks you're meant to do and things you're meant to change for Earth, as they could be agreements that pertain to people, communities, countries, and your role at a bigger level, at the collective. And also, in past lifetimes, we take vows that we then can't fully cut and remove, and we bring them into this lifetime. For example, a lot of those are vows of poverty, vows of chastity, and then we find ourselves in this lifetime not being able to live an abundant life or to have a beautiful, loving sexual relationship. And then we go deep when you work with somebody like me, and we realize that there were vows that you took in a lifetime where you were a monk or whatever a past lifetime may have been, and that are still present in your life that you have to cut, you have to undo, you have to release. So there's so much you can do with this awareness, because what's key about everything I said, if you have to take one awareness, is that what matters is not tangible. Anything tangible, oh my gosh, you guys, so clear with my mom. The minute her soul left the body, that's it. All the things she accrued, all the things she had, all the money she had, for what? She's not going to take any of that beyond the threshold. So what matters is not tangible. What her soul has taken with her is all the relationships she had, the love shared and not shared, and all of the lessons of her soul. Because as trite as it may seem, love is all that matters. Phew. And yeah, it does sound trite, but it is not. When we can begin looking at our daily life with this awareness, what are the objects surrounding you? Are they giving you joy? Are they there because they have a meaning for you right now? You're alive, you're in 3D. I'm not saying you're not supposed to enjoy what the beauty of being incarnated gives you. You are meant to taste beautiful food, to drink mate, and enjoy its tart taste. You are meant to look out the window, like I'm looking at the window right now and seeing beautiful mountains and trees and the sun. You are meant to smell perfumes and aromas. You are meant to feel the touch of your loved one. You are meant to be able to hear music and to rejoice in the sounds of nature and the birds chirping and the whales singing. We have this body with all these sensorial antennas because the soul wouldn't be able to experience it. And it's a joy to be on earth in a body. Yes, it limits the soul's expression, but it's also why we're here. So, by all means, I'm not saying that what is material is not important. No, no, no. I'm saying, for example, um, this deck. I love this deck. I love this deck. I play with it all the time. I love the cards. I love my pendulums. I love them. Look at this pendulum. Tell me if it's not absolutely gorgeous. It's an amethyst. Of course, you can have all the beautiful things you have, rejoice in them, but also give them the exact right weight. They are not what matters. They're there to make your life joyful. And when you give it just the right attention, and when you surround yourself with beauty all around, by all means, keep doing it. If you are in the midst of a cluttered home, maybe take stock. What can you let go? What can you release? What can you lighten up for you so that you can rejoice in the space in which you live, in which you spend time? Because what matters is not tangible, but yes, the tangible things make our journey joyful and fun. And of course, money helps. but it's not the all do all. So, in the reminder that love is all that matters, in the reminder to check in with yourself and ask yourself, am I choosing out of love? Am I choosing out of fear? I invite you to take time, some time within the next week, until, or even in the new moon, we have a new moon in July 14th, and do your value scale, check in with your values, course correct in your life. Remember that is all that matters. Make sure your material world is filled with beauty, no matter where you are. And I hope that what I've shared with you today can really land in your heart to make your path on this lifetime purposeful, so that you can touch the lives of those that you interact with, because that is all that matters. I thank you for being part of this episode, and I invite you to download the Soul Embodiment Map. I hope it helps you. And if you want to double check on any of these things, book a multidimensional session with me on my website, theawakenedpath.com. Love and light. Thank you for joining me, Shakti Bottazzi, on the Soul Wisdom Project, remembering the living blueprint of the soul. Tune in every first and third Tuesday each month at 9 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Continue your journey of conscious embodiment, integrating the design, development, and emergence of your divine blueprint. Deepen your exploration through my book, Remembering Her, A Soul Embodiment Journey, and discover mentoring and retreats at theawakenedpath.com. Healing is possible. Your journey is sacred design in motion. To put overwhelm in your past, contact me at www.theawakenedpath.com. Stay awake, stay aligned, and keep living your soul's wisdom. See you next time.